yes, welcome back to yet another edition of the Ohno Wrestling Podcast. I think this is show number 141, if I'm not mistaken. And tonight, it's myself, your Sharp Break Kid. My name is Owen. Along with me is the one and only modern-day Maharaja Matthew. And announcing the new Ohno Predictions Champion, Kahn.
Wait, hold on.
He's confused.
So,
he doesn't even realize he's the champion yet, does he?
Nope.
Yeah, I could tell in our chat you were a little bit like you thought I had gotten it or something, right?
I definitely did.
No. It's all you, buddy. You got it.
God damn it. All right, well.
There it is. Cool. Yeah. You
Right.
just squeaked one out, and I believe the end tallies were 6 points to you, 5 to Matthew, and 4 to myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really thought when we ended the podcast last week that I think Owen has the stronger predictions because I know I changed mine for the main event and the Eliminator tournament right at the very end, I think.
It was all over the place right until I tell you what really did it. Well, it's two big things. Obviously, the main event was the deciding factor, but Duncan, you didn't benefit on that main event.
Not at all.
Only I took that one. At the end of the day, what won it for you was Jurassic Express.
And you know what? That was a shot in the dark. Pretty much all of my picks, I was just this is what the opposite of, I think, will happen.
Yeah. Well, I took a couple shots in the dark. I wanted to try, a couple of random ones.
We were trying to will Miro into winning the world title eliminator.
I think what screwed me was my FTR prediction more than anything. That was kind of the one that I thought back on. I'm like, yeah, that was a mistake. I think that in my own head, I predicted FTR, and when I thought back on it, that was probably never going to happen. That was a mistake on my part. But we'll go through all the matches. But before we do, first off, congratulations to you, Duncan.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. I can't believe it.
Overall,
I'll be taking it back soon.
I know. I mean, look, you're in cahoots. You know.
I got cocky like Kenny.
Well, we knew you weren't feeling tip top last week, so that we said
it was all the Dayquil and Nyquil. I was in a haze.
It sure was.
Yeah.
We were throwing you off left and right, and you were just I think I'm gonna go. No, maybe I'm gonna go. Oh fuck, yeah. I don't know.
What did you guys think overall of the show, though? Because I'll say
you said it to me last night. You're this pay-per-view is missing something. And going back and watching some of the YouTube reviews on it and stuff, it just everybody's super over the moon about it. And I'm just it was a great show, but something
was off. Something was missing.
Something needed to happen. I don't know. I was super stoked to see Jay Lethal.
Yeah. Couldn't be more there with you. But I think part of it too is that they came off of All Out, which was such an adrenaline high that peaked that it was almost impossible for this show to reach those heights. And I think that might have been part of the issue. But then again, I also think it probably suffered from some of the pacing, and maybe the match order in general had me a little bit low on it.
I would somewhat agree with that. I think the All Out, it was just there was so much, and there were so many anticipated debuts and everything like that, where there wasn't that electric are they going to show up? Are they not going to? And then doing Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson in a row. I mean, that's just kind of. It's going to
overshadow a lot.
It's going to overshadow exactly. So you can't really fully compare. But I will say, something did seem a little off, but I thought some of the better matches were on the beginning of the card.
Yeah.
In all honesty,
I think the first 4 matches were just
bangers.
Heat.
Yeah. And then after that, they were matches. They're not bad matches, but it was just, I don't know. It just, it wasn't as heated. It missed I guess it was right around I don't
The
know. I
midway
feel like
point.
yeah, and I feel like it was like I feel like it was the Bucks, the Super Click match, like that one, like the energy didn't feel right, fully right. Like the
Not
Bucks seemed a
until the
little off.
very end of that match. Not until
Right.
the
Yeah.
Until they
very
got up
end.
to the entrance ramp.
Yep.
Yeah.
The thing
Yeah.
that it brought it back, I will say, the CM Punk Eddie Kingston match was the match that like brought it back to life to me. Like there was some stuff that was sort of getting a little bit like and then that CM Punk Eddie Kingston match to me actually had that feel that kind of needed to elevate the crowd. Like the crowd was super into that match and super into that rivalry.
And super into Eddie Kingston.
Very much into Eddie Kingston. I don't
Yeah.
care if we jump all over the place here at all because it warrants noting that there were a good amount of boos for Punk. And
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. I expected the crowd to be into Kingston and I kind of expected a 50-50 sort of like support but not really a booing either one.
Right.
The fact that there were people that were firmly in Eddie's corner and really wanted Eddie to win that match, that was like, that's a testament to what I previously said is, and it's something that I think that we all kind of agreed on, which is so weird to think about in the sense that in this feud, here it was, Kingston almost putting over Punk in a way, almost like getting Punk the the response and sort of the interest rather than the other way around. Like
Punk the rub.
Yes, that's what
it was.
Yeah, not putting him
Yep.
over, but yes, absolutely giving him the
Yep.
rub. And a year ago we would have laughed at that statement, right? Like so that's
Well, yeah. I mean, I think Eddie Kingston has had to grow on the audience,
Mm-hmm.
and and not everybody got it at first because he's such an older generation kind of professional wrestler, and he really does speak from the heart and improv the shit that he's gonna say. Like we were talking about last week, Matthew was specifically saying just like, I don't know what the fuck you're saying, bro, but I like, right there with you.
Yeah.
And so
Well, and
like,
I think that article too that he wrote, or I think that goes to a lot of what you're saying, Duncan. Like I think a lot of wrestling fans obviously read that article too, and that helps get you even more into and behind someone like that, especially at a critical moment.
What a perfect time for that article to have been released as well. Like whether strategic or not, I'm sure it was, but whether strategic or not, it was the absolute perfect time for it to be released. I knew a lot of those stories because I've heard him talk about, like, not as much in depth, but I knew a lot of those stories where there might be a lot of fans that haven't heard, that aren't as podcast centric as me and nerdy as me when it comes to that. And he has, like, he's definitely talked about those struggles, but has not gone into so much depth about it. And it even, man, does it not make Bryan Danielson look like even more of a fucking twat for like what he kind of said in one of those promos a couple weeks back, where he's basically like, yo, you're not, almost like talking shit on him for not dealing with his mental health and for having these struggles and like, I don't know, like if there was any doubt before that Danielson can be a heel, well, there's no doubt anymore.
Oh, dude, he's American Dragon is a heel. Like,
well, and I will say when I saw them wrestle for the Rampage taping after the Dynamite in Boston, I mean the crowd was super into Bryan Danielson and then also into Eddie Kingston, but at one point in the match, instead of people like chanting "This is awesome" or cheering for one or the other, they were just chanting, "You're both awesome."
Yeah.
You're both, and like the entire arena was yelling it, and I was like, that's fucking awesome because Kingston deserves it too.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on MJF Darby opening the show?
Dude,
I thought it set a fucking great tone. I thought that match was awesome.
I thought they lit it on fire to begin with, and it's just like it's going to be hard to keep up with this.
That was one of the match of the nights for me.
Yeah,
for sure.
And one of the most, like, I think one of the best matches we've seen from Darby in a while as well. Like I know a lot of us were kind of getting a little over Darby, a little bored. You in particular, Matthew, I know for sure.
100%. But that match actually did storyline what I think it was supposed to do, whether he won or lost, which was show that he could like wrestle at MJF's level, and I think that like he did that. He can like he held his own, and like they some of those combinations, even the one where they were like rolling around the ring, that was
Yeah.
awesome. All of their reversals and set like when they were doing some of those move sets, I was like, this is fucking fun to watch.
It was, and it was a like we all know that MJF can go, and I think it's also proof that why it's smart that they save MJF matches like for the bigger events, the bigger cards.
Yeah.
Like you don't get a ton of MJF matches because he always seems to remind you like that he can do what he can do, and he does it in such a great way. This to me was a match that he needed as much as Darby as well, because I think that even some of his character and some of his work was getting a little stale. This took it to that next level. Still doesn't get I mean, it's a clean win on the books, but obviously via the usage of the diamond ring, and so on. So
I think that like because those two have had so many matches on the indies prior to this feud on the main stage, that they know each other very well and they know how to have a good match, and they had a great match. And I was at work today, and you know, good brother Evan was saying, he was just like, oh man, I can't believe they had that open the show. I'm just like, man,
was the perfect
I don't
opener.
know.
I don't know if it would have fit.
Exactly.
I don't know if it would have fit much better anywhere else on the card.
I don't know that it would have either. And it had that intensity, and you start the crowd off super hot, and just like it's not, I don't know. I think the opening match now is equally as important as the main event anymore.
Especially on AEW cards, I would say.
Yes.
Because of the precedents that they've set, like not only on pay-per-view, but kind of what they do every week on Dynamite, right? Like it's the opening match on Dynamite might even be more important in a lot of cases.
It is the main event, really.
Really, it kind of is. And in Rampage, even more so, because you've got that 10 o'clock start time.
Hour, yep.
So you've got to like get it like this thing like out right away. Also a faster paced match for MJF, who gets a lot of criticisms at times, I think, of being a slower paced wrestler, you know, a more methodical wrestler.
He wrestles like a Ted DiBiase style of, heel wrestler. And I think that a lot of people shit on that because they're not used to seeing it. And I kind of love seeing it.
Nice. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I love the spot too, where, Darby was going to go for the coffin drop in the ring. MJF rolls out. He's like, fuck it. I'm going to do it anyway, just to the outside.
Yeah, that was a big fucking drop.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
And then he like did the coffin drop onto the apron too.
Yeah.
Like fucking, oh.
I like how commentary recently has been acknowledging as well in the last couple weeks. I want to say Jericho pointed it out even on like Rampage or something, like that
the apron is the hardest part of the ring.
No, even even more so than that. That in compared to other companies, AEW has these very unforgiving square ring posts that are, you're not as rounded, so that you can take bumps on like, those corners that it's going to feel a lot different just because it's like it's a hard edge or whatever. I thought we saw some of that even included in the main event with Hangman's kind of big leap where he needed that extra footing and he ripped off that camera. That was Hangman, right? That ripped off the camera off the top. Yeah. I don't like those cameras, by the way. I think they look like garbage, and they kind of need to stop using them. But that's just a
I mean,
pet
they don't
peeve.
really do much for like. I only ever see them use them a handful of times during any broadcast.
Yeah, they just don't look
it's
good.
It's just not the quality of what you're watching through like the cameras that they have that like everyone else is shooting with, so it takes you out of it.
100%.
Like the angle would be cool, maybe if it actually looked
was
the same,
like a 4K
but the continuity
or whatever.
isn't there.
Yeah. The other thing though too, speaking of commentary, I felt like all of them were off last night. Like even Excalibur, like everyone was missing little, like I don't know if they were like was a nerves thing or just they were a little bit out of it, but there were a lot of like weird little slip ups, and there were a lot of like JR, kind of being JR a little bit more again, like not on his finest form. And
I actually when did Bryan Danielson wrestle? Was this past week? Was it Wednesday or Friday? It doesn't.
Doesn't
I don't
really
remember.
matter. I can't remember.
It doesn't
either.
really matter, but I meant to send you guys in the group, but I actually recorded it when it happened. But he definitely was calling him Daniel Bryan.
He did it. I think he did it again at Full Gear. I think he slipped once or twice.
I think he did too.
Yeah, he was like stopping himself, but he was close, and he called him like Daniel, and then he was like, yeah, it was this kind of weird thing.
Just call him Brian.
Yeah, it's the easiest part you could do.
Easiest way to get around of it. Call the round of it around
yeah.
it. Call him
Brian, and then you won't ever make a mistake. Exactly. But I felt like
but you are correct.
Sh1t was slipping over. Yeah, they were all just a little bit off, and I think that might have added to my thought of like something's weird with this show. Like something's
like,
just
did
a little...
y'all have a couple of too many drinks before the show?
Yeah, what's going on here? Like, or is someone in your ear a little too much, or maybe not enough, or I don't know. Like it just. It felt
there were
stunted.
A couple of slip-ups that I noticed on JR, and I'm just like, but you know,
I mean, he said he's going away, or like he's going to be taking some step back. He's going to be doing some, but like kind of more backstage segments or sit-down interviews, I think.
But honestly, if he doesn't say something stupid that gets him attacked on Twitter, then what's he going to bitch about on his podcast?
And I don't even mind. Like, the flubs are going to happen, right? You talk that much. You talk that much for a living. You're going to say the wrong name. You're going to call a move wrong. These are going to happen. It was just like the three of them weren't connecting like they typically do. Like, there's usually... Right. You know, like this a good balance of Excalibur and JR, and where JR maybe doesn't
feed off each other.
They feed off each other, and maybe JR doesn't know the name of a move from Japan that Excalibur knows. You know, that's Excalibur's expertise, and he can hop in there. But they just, I don't know. Something felt a little bit weird with that. Where does MJF go now then? Is this the Darby feud over? It doesn't feel like it is to me.
Darby MJF is the AEW KO Sami Zayn.
Can go forever. Can be revisited at any time if they want.
Yeah. I just don't think it needs to be like the story doesn't need to continue, right? Especially after that match being as good as it was. Like the only way you do it is you have to have Darby beat him.
Right.
And I don't know. That doesn't have to happen right now. Like I said, the way that they did it proved that Darby can wrestle at his level. Like, you know, also I will say that during the pin of that match, Darby's shoulders were not on the mat.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
So I actually recorded it to send to you guys too, to be like, that was, but so when he did, what was it? He called it, right? What he was going to do.
The takeover
headlock. With the headlock and pin him. He was pulling up on his head so much, and the camera was right there, right on his back, both shoulders completely off the mat.
Well, I mean, Darby weighs like 90 pounds.
Yeah, that's part of his size, too, that might, add into that.
That'd be like me doing that to Owen. It's going to look like I'm going to pull his shoulders up off the mat.
Yeah. What was the second?
I know, I'm just saying, it's
technically
I have been noticing a couple of things, especially with the angles that they've been shooting at and the cuts that they have.
Yeah.
They've been missing, or you've been seeing quite a few things that I think you shouldn't be seeing as a wrestling fan watching TV recently. I have been picking up on that on the production.
I picked up on quite a lot. Maybe it's the same thing you're talking about, but there was quite a lot of calling some spots last night. I definitely felt
you could see it. Yeah, you could just see them talking.
That inner circle match, that inner circle match in particular. The Minneapolis street fight, and that's kind of to be understood with a match that's that chaotic with those American top team guys that. Just aren't wrestlers. Let's be real. They're gonna have to be called things like a little bit more brazenly, I should say. What was the second match? Was it Miro Danielson or was the?
No, it was a Lucha. FTR Lucha.
Not a bad match. Something was not right with the finish as far as was it meant to go like that? Something didn't click. Something was off.
It felt like maybe they rushed to the finish before they wanted to.
It was the weird mask thing. It's like,
yeah.
And the other one was still coming out from underneath. You could see he was like coming out kind of after Cash, because I think it was Cash, right, who got pinned, and he wasn't supposed to. And so, but you could see like Dax like underneath still, like with the Max like trying to come out or something.
Yeah, because they were trying to pull a switcheroo. They were trying to put the masks on and then do the whole thing where it's like, well, no, that wasn't the legal man. But then like still the legal man did not get pinned in that match, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Like Cash.
No, you are correct.
So that's how you can do another
get. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was necessary. I don't know that
I don't know if it was necessary, and honestly, like
it wasn't well orchestrated. It could have worked if it was maybe. I don't know, something, maybe the commentary got it over better. Something was missing with that to where it was just like, well, I'm a little confused. Everybody else looks like in the crowd they're a little bit confused. What just kind of happened here? It didn't, like, if that's what they were going for, it wasn't sold very well.
Yeah.
Well, and if that's what they were going for, they probably should have thought it out a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because
there were some really good spots in the match.
Yeah.
Throughout. I mean, it was a really good, like I said, the start of the card was probably a lot of my favorite. Maybe I was also getting a little fatigued watching, I mean, you're on like 4 hours, and then pre-show, so a lot of, we all know it's a lot, but I think, I don't know, I still think some of these matches, and I think this one was one of the better ones too, especially when you're looking at like then the Bucks match or the Superflick match. Like, again, I mean, not a bad match, but like this one I think was far better. But to your point, there was something that wasn't quite clicking. And again, I don't know if it's a combination of the commentary or what was happening in the ring, because even before that end where it got a little confusing, even though there were some amazing spots and things like that, it did seem like there was like a little bit of miscommunication, or like they weren't, it wasn't jiving, like both the styles weren't jiving well, so you could see it looked like things were missing. There was like one point, I think, where it looked like Penta he thought he knew where to go and then he didn't, and so he had to like turn and adjust, and you could totally see what was happening, and it was just like the pacing at that point, they just weren't syncing together. I don't know.
But Phoenix did it again. I mean, as he does, like he's always there to, get an incredible spot or two.
Dude, that frog splash that he hit.
Yeah.
God,
phenomenal.
I haven't seen a frog splash that beautiful since Eddie Guerrero.
Well, and I think that's probably why it was slotted in, right? I mean, there's a lot of tribute to Eddie on that show.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of probably the big reasons he hit it.
Died in Minneapolis.
Yeah, exactly. And just a couple of days, like it was right around the anniversary, I want to say.
Years,
something like that. So not a bad match. Interesting where they see them go from here. Clearly that they're going to have they've already booked a match, right, for FTR and Lucha Brothers in AAA in Japan, or sorry, in Mexico rather.
In Japan, yes.
Yeah.
AAA going to Japan.
Yeah, well, stranger things have happened, but yeah, no, like the logical thing would be to have, I think, the Lucha Bros win in Mexico and, probably take those belts back and all that. But, we shall see. I hope it doesn't do too much damage to FTR, but I don't think you really can. And if they ever really wanted to as well, we've seen the proof of how just good Dax and Cash can be on their own. Not saying you split them up in, forever, but you could easily have them both go on singles runs at this point, because they've proven to me that they can do it.
Yeah,
sure.
I think
if they're interested in that, they might,
I mean,
be interested in just doing tag team stuff.
Sure.
But the one match they had this week, was it Dynamite? No, it was Rampage, I think.
Rampage.
That was a good singles match, I thought. It was solid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're starting to maybe explore that a little bit, and I'm for it. Because you can still be FTR and still be a part of that, and then wrestle singles.
No, exactly. What was it? It was Dax and Pac, right?
Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah,
like I
was awesome.
Nothing but high praise
phenomenal.
for that.
Yeah,
nothing but high praise for
phenomenal. That was that was the one. It opened Rampage.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
Miro Danielson. Great match. Surprised at the outcome. surprised at the outcome. It was I think we all said one of the hardest to call on the card, to be honest. I'm very sad that Miro can't go home to Lana.
No, now he just has to continue being mad at God, which I do love.
Yeah, I think we all kind of like that. It's a good character development with him.
It really is.
In the ring, like when he almost got the pin, but couldn't, he's like looking up, like, why?
Fuck you. Yeah, no, it was probably everything that it needed to be. Not Danielson's best match yet in AEW, but it's the style difference was always going to be different, right? Like it was always going to be maybe not the technical master class that you've seen him do with some of the others, but just how hard hitting it was in that Miro fire up spot where he's just having him kick the fuck out of his chest,
fuck out of his ribs,
yeah.
Then he just he gets like 3 kicks in, and then he kicks Danielson and just like floors him with it. I was like, oh.
I think the only reason that I was, kind of up in the air really was because, like all of us, were pretty sure, that Hangman, or there was a good chance that Hangman was going to pick up the victory at the end of the show. So obviously, like it would make more sense kind of for me for like a first defense against a guy like Miro, that type of thing with Hangman, and it'll be extremely interesting to see what they do now with a Danielson Hangman pairing.
Well, and also, does it have to be like the next title defense? Could there be another challenger before that?
Yeah, I don't think they've made that stipulation.
No, so I wonder if this is sort of like something that he can kind of keep in his back pocket and sort of be like...
Well, it feels like more of a pay-per-view match anyway, right? Like, wouldn't you want to save that for a pay-per-view match? So you're logically going to have Hangman defend it before the next pay-per-view at least once. You would think. I'm struggling to see who that would be against right now, but I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's going to have a couple of matches because I think he does want to be one of those guys that defends it a lot and, as kind of not an open challenge, but more of a heavier schedule. And
yeah,
it doesn't mean he necessarily has to defend the belt every week either.
No, but there was definitely some interesting foreshadowing and things going on at the end of that match.
Yeah.
With the Bucks coming out, but not helping Kenny and sort of like giving the nod to Hangman and whatnot. It's just like, this is I really wonder, and I really feel like we're about to see Kenny get kicked out of the Elite.
I think it's a pretty safe assumption at this point, really.
Super Click take over, and then Kenny can take some time off.
Yeah, which he needs.
Sounds like it working. I mean, a lot of reports like a messed up shoulder now, like doesn't have like some of the upper body strength.
I mean, you could just see. I mean, I think like he gave his all with Bryan Danielson that match. Like that was like, he's like, that's the banger, like, and I think then it was kind of to get him through to this, like, not saying he wasn't going, but he was not, you could tell in this match even that, like, I think he's just like, I'm just tired, beat up.
Right, he just wasn't working in 6-star speed.
Well, and let's talk about it. I mean, might as well. I mean, we were hinting at it so much anyway, like, with this main event, like, it was... Like, you put that match against, like, 99% of, WWE matches, you've got to, it's nothing that we would ever complain about. But this was by far, like, it was not the best Kenny match that we've seen in a while. And to your point, I mean...
Probably not even the best Hangman match.
No.
Yeah, no. It was, I mean, it was one of the lower matches on the card for me after watching everything.
If it wasn't for the result and the happy moment and the things that we all kind of wanted to see the story arc develop into, it would be, a match that I don't think that we would be talking about in, 3 weeks time. Like it's one of those that we're not going to really remember that match. We're going to remember the end of that match.
The outcome.
Right.
The outcome.
Yeah. We remember the finish and the outcome. Yep.
The moment and all of that. But yeah, like, wasn't it, like, back to Kenny's injury real quick, remember that spot Oh, was it against I feel like it was a 6-man, and there was a spot they completely fucked up where Kenny couldn't quite get. I want to say it was Luchasaurus or someone
Luchasaurus up for the power bomb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
they botched it.
And
then they memed the shit out of it.
Yeah.
On BTE.
Yeah, exactly. So that's even a sign right there. Maybe, I mean, he's obviously been dealing with this for quite a while. You know, like, if that upper body strength issue and the shoulder issue was a problem, that's like a sign of it right there.
I actually feel like there was also a spot in this match where you could see that. Now that I'm thinking back to it, I think there was a spot where you could tell that he had a hard time. It may have been the angle of where he was trying to pick Hangman up, but he didn't fully get him where he needed to be. And the outcome, it just didn't look as strong or as powerful or as smooth or slick as like his movesets usually do.
That man needs a little bit of time off.
I forget the movie he did, but he did it from such a weird angle too, where they were both on near the top rope or middle rope, and Kenny did a thing from like the side and over to flip him over, like into almost it wasn't a Hurricanrana, but it was sort of like it was like a Tiger Driver, sort of, but it was off.
No, I think that's what Excalibur called it. I think it was the Tiger Driver 98.
He did call that the Tiger. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was from a weird angle. It wasn't like a stereotype.
It wasn't.
You know what I mean?
No, he came into it from the side and like did a flip over into a Tiger Driver 98, and it was just like, excuse me, what the fuck?
Yeah. I guess if they, we're all kind of calling it now, if they do go this route where he takes some time off, they do reverse killing Adam Cole with killing, Kenny Omega. You could go that route.
I think your next. I think you end up setting up for Kenny versus Cole.
Yeah. Give Kenny time off, and then he can come back and
comes back
animosity.
as a face. At that point, does he come back as a face?
Maybe. I mean, he comes back as Kenny Omega, and the crowd reacts, and he goes after Adam Cole because Adam Cole, you know what I mean? Or Adam Cole goes full heel to turn Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
They attack Kenny because, Kenny was the one that convinced the Bucks to poison him in the first place.
Yeah.
And now we have
it
like
all
you
comes
said,
back like 5-year full circle.
That interesting development with Matt kind of giving the wink to Hangman, like, you've got this, you deserve it, we believe in you type of thing. Is that even the start of a Bucks super click face turn in a sense? Like you could make an argument that they might be going that route as well.
Maybe, or it's just giving him the nod because they want Kenny out and they're signing off on it.
No, I don't mind that. Next match after the Miro Danielson match, was that the women?
That was Jurassic Express and Christian Cage
was
versus,
the street
Super Click.
Falls Count Anywhere.
Falls Count Anywhere. Yes, you're right. Falls Count Anywhere. Weird match, and like we said, weird match until the end, but then delivered on kind of everything. The highlight of the match for me was Nick Jackson's ridiculous facial hair.
Yeah,
it's both of them had it, but Nick's just looked that much more ridiculous.
Yeah,
Nick's so he just bam, like the full Hulk Hogan.
When at the very beginning, when they were coming out, I thought maybe it was just like kind of the glow of like the entrance ramp and everything because it was all purple, and I was like, am I seeing that right or not? And then maybe it was Tony or something mentioned it, and then I was like, oh yeah, it's 100%. It's not just like reflecting off the bleach blonde that he had. He actually dyed it.
Well, they both have grown out these beards because they're doing this whole like they're tough guys right now too.
Yeah,
like
they're all doing like the macho, like in the ring, macho and Hulk Hogan, like it's pretty awesome.
But their beards look so scummy. They really look so scummy. Like the way they're just like unkempt.
I love Kenny's Harley race.
Yeah. Well, if you've never noticed it, it's an Omega symbol.
Of course it is.
It's an Omega symbol. If you really want to look at it, like it is. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I didn't recognize that, but that's awesome.
Shooting star
but-
press for fucking Luchasaurus coming
Bro,
off that.
okay, look.
Luchasaurus was like the star of this match.
He
I think he had a
was.
couple of really good spots, and I think I really liked the sell with Jungle Boy right after he did that, where Jungle Boy even went like, "Holy shit!" You know,
Yeah.
like I think that really helped sell it through also, which was pretty awesome.
I-
But Luchasaurus, his showing in this match was great. He had
I
a couple of
couldn't
really
agree
good
more.
spots. I like that he was actually like prominent in those spots, and you know, he wasn't just coming to like help out or be the big guy. Like they actually let him, you know, wrestle, you know, some moves through just with other people, and that was like the focus of the match for a little bit, which I think was great.
And who doesn't love a dinosaur in blue jeans?
Right?
Like, that's...
I love that they were all in street fight gear,
Which
and then
is
the Bucks.
kind of dumb, honestly, like, because it should have been the street fight that had the street fight gear, not the Falls Count. But whatever. That's besides
Whatever.
that.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But they were set up for a Falls Count Anywhere match too. But then like you have Adam Cole in his Bret Hart homage and the black and pink, which I did love.
It looked good. It was.
It looked good.
It looked real good. I thought, you know, even Christian Cage had some great spots with him, like doing some big shit.
Christian jumping off that fucking balcony onto everybody,
like, stop it, old man.
Doing the peep, looking for his peeps out, and I popped so hard, and I'm like, I still love Christian. I still love Edge. After watching the Dark Side of the Ring about Luna, I'm back on Team Gangrel.
Sure. Yeah. You know what? I actually haven't watched that one. I need to watch that one.
You should watch that one, because that one's pretty good.
Because I'm a gang fella. I'm a fucking, what is it?
Yeah, you're a fan of David Heath.
Yeah. Was it Fangin' and Bangin', bro?
Fangin' and banging.
Fangin' and banging. No, like it did everything it needed to do, and it sort of wraps up that feud kind of nicely. I don't need to see any more interactions at this point between Jurassic Express and the Young Bucks, or Christian really and Cole. Like,
no, but give me Jungle Boy and Cole.
That's fine. Yeah, Jungle Boy and Cole.
That's I think is the next natural progression.
That, right? We had it once. Did we have that once? Did we have that once?
I think we actually just had it
this
past week.
I feel like we just had it as well, but but they can spin that off into, definitely more of a series. And he's, you know, another guy that with Jungle Boy that they're building and building and building. And when that time comes, like, he's going to be another Hangman in 2 years from now, right? Like, he's going to have, it's going to take a while, but he's going to have that big moment, and it'll be another heartfelt, like, you know, homegrown boy
does good.
So I can't really say much more about it, but yeah, it was it did exactly what it needed to do. From there,
it was a month ago. It was a month ago. Cole and Jungle Boy. It felt like this week, but so that was and maybe it was just because Jungle Boy was on Dynamite and Rampage.
Probably.
But it was 9/29.
So next was it that must have been the women's.
Next was this was
that Punk Kingston?
Pac, Cody Rhodes.
Oh yeah, well
Andrade,
that shows. This match didn't do much for me at all.
It didn't do anything for me.
I'm
glad that Pac got the win.
Yeah.
The only thing that did anything for me was Malachi Black's entrance, as per usual.
Mm-hmm.
The match was just so weird. It was like, really weird. This one actually, like, to talk about like things that just seemed off this match, and just the fact just putting them all together and the way it happened, like, this match just didn't seem like, no one seemed into it, even like the wrestlers.
This is like, we want all of them on this card, we don't know how to get there. How do we get there? A fatal 4-way would have served this much better rather than a tag match, in my opinion. I don't.
And I had heard or read somewhere that originally it was gonna be a fatal 4-way.
Yeah.
So why the fuck didn't we do that? Like, who gives a shit about Andrade? And like,
it would have made more sense to me had they not played with like the dynamic of Andrade and Black not getting along throughout the match. If they would have just been on the same page the whole time, even though we haven't been told why, that would have made more sense. Like maybe Andrade's bought him off, or there's some weird unholy alliance going on behind the scenes with
Sure.
Black and right. Even if we weren't told, the fact that they were having the whole can they get along thing, like why were they doing it with both teams? Like that was dumb. Like
yeah, the dynamic of having it be both teams was stupid. And I get that, like, the whole reason is that you want it to be like Cody is so hot to get at Black, and Black is so hot to get at Cody, and Pac is so hot to get on Andrade, and vice versa. And just like,
but again,
okay,
four-way would have done that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It felt like a Cody match, right?
That was a definite Cody match.
That was a Cody match.
That was one of the lowest like matches. Like that was a C for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was probably the lowest on the card.
Yeah.
Next to, I would say, the women's match, if I'm being, honest.
Ooh, yeah, hard to tell which one actually takes the bottom of the cake at that one,
Which would have been next, right?
I
keep saying it every match.
That one was next. I think the women's was actually better than.
At least the story with that one was there. At least you had a reason to believe that, like, none of us really thought that, Ty Conti was going to win this, but just for a few moments, and like there was this slight bit of disbelief with it that would that kind of helped, and you do have it was a great showing by Conti, to be honest. Like I thought she looked really, really good.
It definitely stepped her up a level.
I just this match kind of fell flat to me. I don't know, like it never really got going. Like it never really
felt like it didn't have the juice behind it that some of Britt's other feuds have had.
Yeah.
Where it actually felt like, oh, this could go a little while and this could actually tear the house down,
Yeah.
Like that unsanctioned match with her and Thunder Rosa.
Mm-hmm. And they'll get there with another feud for Britt. It's just like this felt very much like filler feud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was.
And I guess at the end of the day, a bit of a rub on Conti. She looks better for it.
Yeah.
Another one of those
steps
that
her up.
You got to get that image of her holding the belt when she ran into the ring, which looked good, but yeah,
just not there yet.
Yeah.
I sent you the link to that to the action figure they're releasing of her. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I did not.
Yeah,
no.
I saw that.
Yeah, I sent you the link. So,
was it Punk Kingston next?
Yeah.
Yes.
This was needed after the last two matches. This is like we had the previous two were the lowest point in the show. We needed this to kind of amp things back up. I know you were you had to pop out during this match, Duncan. Were you able to catch it or catch?
I did go back and catch it. Yes.
Good.
So
because I did really, really like how this started. I liked the Punk coming out, no fucking pomp and circumstance, like nope, wanting to fight. I mean, Eddie was gonna go in that first anyway, but the Punk kind of like, matching that energy, and then for goddamn Kingston to just hit him with that spinning back fist, what have you, just before the bell even rings. Couldn't have loved that more. That more.
What an asshole. I love him.
Oh, it's so good. It's so
good. I mean,
good.
that's what you wanted between both of them, was like, they just couldn't wait to fucking get to each other.
And this is the thing for me. For me, is that, like, Eddie Kingston is sort of the new CM Punk.
I think that a lot of people have made those comparisons, and it is that voice of the voiceless. He's got the Stone Cold thing to a degree as well. Like it's the anti-authority, speak your mind.
Yeah. And I think in the next 2 years, Kingston is going to blow up.
I think we're closer than that, man. I think we're
for sure. I'm just saying, like, big picture, because, like, you got to think about how a lot of these storylines are going to play out, right? Yeah. Like, the last 2 years have been set up to sort of get us to where we are now.
Yep.
With all of these newer teams getting the rub, and then, like, it's just going to progress forward. And dude, Kingston, from the time he came in, has just steady been impressing on so many levels.
This was honestly, like, it was more of a slugfest, but I think like even some of the more like technical elements of this match, Kingston really, looked very good as well to show like against a guy like Punk that he can do some things that, you might not have expected from him as
Yeah.
well. And also just the brutality, like the busting him open, the rubbing the blood on the face, like the every like fucking middle finger,
Oh,
to the
dude. Yeah.
next. Punk doing the 5 moves of doom and like pretty much like
Yeah, and then instead of doing the
Yeah.
you can't see me, just give him the finger.
that was great. The Three Amigos, great.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Dude, okay.
Go ahead,
What?
sorry.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, just let Punk be. The crowd is gonna love him no matter what. He just needs to be a prick. Like, that's Punk's biggest problem. He's having too much fun to be mean.
Let him be just kind of a cocky prick.
Yeah. If you could just go
Yeah.
ahead and step that up just a couple of notches and make
At
us actually hate you.
least we've seen that beginning. I don't know if he continues with that, but at least
I
we've
know.
seen the shades of that gray coming out
Yeah.
now, which it's. I know we're all gonna be a little bit with the Punk thing, but it is way, way, way better than it was prior to this Kingston development, prior to this Kingston
Yes.
feud.
Absolutely.
At least we've got something we can sink our teeth into with it a little bit more now. So
Yeah.
and it
Well, and to hear people booing actively,
Yes.
like during the middle of the match, like, I mean, maybe not all at once, but you could definitely hear people booing him, which,
when he was being an asshole to Kingston, when he was
Yeah.
doing those asshole-ish things, like that's
Yep.
what was great about it.
yeah, he was also interesting. He had different, he was wearing shorts.
Yeah, like the kind of
Shorts instead
boxing
of trunks.
short
Yeah, like
things.
boxing shorts instead of trunks.
like his
or,
MMA
or-
shorts,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he keeps switching through all that stuff. But I will say, I mean, I did like all of that stuff, but again, this match was one of the lower ones for me. Like,
I kind of disagree. It was one of my favorites on the card just because of how real it felt, just because of the big fight feel, I guess. Like I think they just did such a good job selling it. I was more amped to see what was going to happen than any other of the matches. Maybe the match itself wasn't as good, but the vibe going into it got me.
Okay, I would agree with that. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's maybe why I think it set my expectation, where I was just like, not that it was a bad match, but I was expecting something more. Yes, it was hard hitting, but there were sometimes it seemed to drag in those slower moments, for
Yeah.
me. And so, but I don't know. It is also one of the ones that I've told myself I need to go back and watch, just because. I mean, I've said it on previous podcasts. Like, there have been some Punk matches, that I'm not the biggest fan of him, but then I've watched some a second time, and I'm like, that match was better than I gave it credit for the first time around.
Right.
So I think this might be one of those, but I do need to go back and watch it.
I'm
Because
not.
I really wanted to like it a lot more than I did, and I think that's what also kind of like brings it down for me. Is it my personal, like, it wasn't as bad as I'm making it out to be, but in my mind I'm like, I wanted something more out of that. Kind of like we're all saying we wanted something more out of the pay-per-view as a
pay-per-view.
whole. So
It's not over though either. Especially
it's
with
definitely
the
not.
handshake not being received by Kingston at the end. That's gonna obviously develop into something more. I also am not terribly like convinced that the way that the match ended was the way I would have booked it. I don't know. Like it was a double GTS, right? Like that eventually took him out. Was it double or was it just the one? Right, yeah,
it was a double.
It was a double.
He did one, then he did a second one.
I guess I don't mind cooler if they did something different. I might have even played again with the Kingston passing out spot. I know it's been done a little bit too much, but as of late, but that would have been fitting for something like this that I passed out. It kind of did that with Miro earlier on in the night as well. I know slightly different, like a more of a KO type scenario.
Right.
I don't know. Like, I kind of wanted not a schmoz finish, but a less traditional way for Punk to win.
I mean, I didn't want Punk to win.
Well, we know
So
that. We know
that's it. But
that.
I mean, and that's the thing. So like that's why this match is sort of like to the low to middle end of the spectrum for me, just because Punk's involved, so I immediately take down 2 points. But then Eddie Kingston's involved, so I immediately give it back 2 points. So we sort of start back on that even level, and then like it was good, it was brutal, it was a hard hitting match, and I think like it was a good way to make Eddie Kingston look more like a legitimate sort of like upper mid to main event.
Do you think if they were to kind of, with him getting more and more people behind him and us hearing some of those boos, the handshake thing, you know, he's mentioned a lot recently. He mentioned it in that article, but he's mentioned it in a lot of interviews. Like, I'm not comfortable accepting the love, even with like the fans.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't feel it. Like, you know, like I that's not me. You could then use that, right? Where then eventually he's like, you know what? I've talked about it. I'm working. You know what? Fine. You know what? I'm going to shake your hand. And then Punk doesn't shake his hand. And like,
then it really
that's the
pisses
fucking
Eddie off.
And it really pisses Eddie off because he got there and he's like, you know what? And then that kind of gets the crowd even more. And then you kind of get a little bit of a heel Punk.
I don't know that we're ever going to see a Kingston as a world title holder. I could be wrong, but I definitely foresee him being a TNT champion for sure. And I still think they missed the mark, and they can come back to this, especially when Mox returns. But I love the idea of them being tag champs together. I think
they were great together.
Yeah.
I think that has money written all over it. And for some reason, I think that will be his first belt in AEW, maybe down the line, the TNT championship. But
yeah,
I just don't.
Yeah, I think both of those.
Yeah, I think they work. I just don't know and this is so stereotypical because of like I guess the brainwashing of WWE that's been done to us throughout the years. But I just struggle to see that they would ever want that, you know, the face of the company, the top guy to be Kingston. Now, he's proven us wrong on a myriad of levels already just to even be in that company. So, you know, more power to him if he can get there. And I personally wouldn't, you know, be against it. I'm just not convinced that they're, you know, that's
I mean, I feel
thing.
like if Eddie Kingston is ever going to be the world champion, it's going to be in a few years after they've established some lineage to the title, and, you know, it'd be one of those sort of underdog on his way.
And I don't think it would be like a long title reign, you know? Like,
no, but I think it would be closer towards like the end of his career, give him a short little run with the strap.
What do we have next? It must have been the street fight, was it?
Yep.
The Dan Lambert top team. Yeah.
This one was the worst match of the night for me.
It served its purpose, I guess. You know, it was
garbage.
It was a comedy.
Garbage.
It was a comedy match, street fight, no holds barred, falls count anywhere, whatever the hell you want to call them. Compared
it was
to
a mini stadium stampede.
I would agree with that. I wish though, and I kind of said this earlier, like street fights. First off, I love when they people do throw on jeans for a street fight. That's just an old stupid thing I love. And don't tell me they can't do it because they've done it in AEW before. I like a street fight not to be in a goddamn ring. I want a street fight to be
a street fight in the street.
I want an outside, like they did with the Best Friends and
the
parking lot fight, whatever it was. Santana or
Best
Ortiz.
Friends, Santana Ortiz, yeah.
A fucking amazing match. That's kind, and I know that was shot maybe a little bit more cinematically. That they don't have as many of those luxuries but it wasn't a cinematic match in the context of things.
Right.
You can do that live, I'm fairly certain, and we've seen like backlot brawls, that type of stuff happen over the years in wrestling. I just wish when they call things a street fight, it's not in a ring. Like I understand it, and it's Minneapolis. It's probably snowing and cold as shit right now. But at that point, yes, it's a no holds barred match. Like, was there any? I guess because of the falls count anywhere stipulation, that does make it slightly different with the Bucks match and this one. But how much different, really, in the context of the rules, was that match? Like, nah.
Yeah, you
Nah.
just I guess you expected more weapons.
Well, they started off as, like, do you notice this? It started as a tag match. They started as a 5-man tag or like 10-man tag or whatever. And then it became what it became.
And then it like broke down into like just a street fight. Like, what the fuck? There's no tagging in street fights.
It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. I love Dan Lambert, though. I'll say that. I think Dan Lambert was the star of the match.
Like, there's no crying in baseball. There's no fucking no tagging in street fights.
Oh, I just love how he's like doing all the the moves.
Oh, dude, yeah, he
did his job because I just want to fucking punch him.
That's the idea. He's great at what he does. He's definitely good at what he does. And because of that, I hope it's not the last that we've seen of him. Like even if it was just,
I kind of do.
I just kind of hope like they eliminate more of the top team stuff and they have just Lambert come in to be a manager for Men of the Year. Like that.
I just want to see Lambert be like the Pete Rose of AEW and only come in once in a while and then get like chokeslammed or tombstoned by somebody.
No, that's fine by me. Yeah. Pretty obvious, the way this was going to end as far as the victor. Didn't really expect, although I'm an idiot for not expecting it, that it would be Jericho with a frog splash, love to the heavens with Eddie. I mean, nice. Sweet in a way, but
he did go for that frog splash.
Did.
Like, there are a lot of people who don't do the full in and out for the frog. He did. I'll give him credit where credit's due.
Yeah,
he did do the full frog splash.
The crunch,
and he's been working out a little bit. He's not as Fat Man Jericho as he's been. Like, he's definitely leaned up just a tad. Like, I think he's probably lost like 10 pounds or something when.
Yeah, but he looks better than he did at All Out.
No, he does.
Yeah.
He does. So credit where credit's due. He at least did that. I just think it's a missed opportunity to not give Guevara more of that opportunity. Like, I feel like it should have been Guevara to win that match, especially when the TNT Championship wasn't defended on the show. I feel like it kind of would have made up for that. But what followed sort of does. Because at this point, after the match, is when we get the out-of-nowhere announcement that we've got a young man that's wrestled all over the world, and he is, basically now all elite. And
he found the forbidden door.
Jay Lethal.
Black Machismo. Machismo is all elite.
I feel like that announcement, though, was weird.
It was
the way it was done.
Yeah.
100%.
That fell a little flatter, I think, than it should have.
He needed to make a statement.
I mean, I guess by going for the open challenge with Sammy, that was the thought process, and kind of doing the two birds in one stone thing with the TNT Championship and what have you.
He needs to beat Sammy.
And that's it. That is unless Jay Lethal's just gonna come in, lose his first match in an open challenge, and then why are you here then? Kind of like it.
Jay Lethal, who I'm pretty sure is one of the most decorated superstars in all of Ring of Honor history.
I would think he is. I want to say he has the most, seriously, the most championships of anybody there. Like I feel like I read that a while back.
So. And Jay Lethal's sort of the face of Ring of Honor.
But he can't be young either now, right? Like he's.
No, I mean he's in his later years of his career,
mid-40s maybe.
That's why I think he needs to smash Sammy Guevara.
Also, real soon for Sammy too to be dropping that belt. Not to say he can't win it back at some point, but I agree with you. Like I think it's kind of foolish to bring him in and in that regard and making such a big deal of it at this pay-per-view. That's if he loses, he just becomes Matt Sydal or someone that's kind of just buried in the lower mid card.
Yeah, he's 36.
Oh, wow!
Fuck, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
God,
for some reason, I thought he was old. I thought he was older than that, though. That's crazy.
Oh.
So I did like, though, that he had the stomping circumstances, as they've called it, to come out to. So I like the nod to the black machismo and all that. Like, that's kind of cool. And
Dude, I hope this means that we're gonna get a Lanny Poffo.
you could.
Give me the genius. Come on.
You could.
Have you guys noticed, and I noticed this during this segment, I noticed it earlier this week. Maybe it's because, I don't know. I've really, since I got home this past week, because have been on the road for such a long time.
Yeah.
I watched so much wrestling this weekend, like so much fucking wrestling.
Yeah.
Like I caught up on Dynamite this week. I caught up on Rampage. I like even was watching like some WWE, like the SmackDown and stuff like that. Like just, I was like, I got to watch all this wrestling this week because I haven't been able to watch any of it. So I like did all the AEW, then did SmackDown, then I did this. Like, so I've been watching a ton of it, which is why I'm probably like catching all the, like I was like videoing every like botch and error and like camera shot that was bad and shit because I've just been smoking weed and fucking watching wrestling.
Yeah, you're a producer now.
Yeah. Like literally I've been getting up in the morning and being like, okay, I'm gonna get some coffee and I'm gonna watch wrestling for 4 hours, like because
Nice.
I don't want to do anything else.
Good
and like
for
hang
you.
out with except hang out with my dog.
Yeah.
Which is maybe why I'm sounding more critical because I feel like I'm sounding like a downer. Now I'm like, that kind of makes sense. I'm like, just been all I've been doing. But I have been noticing these little things. And the one thing I realized that I can't stand is Tony Schiavone when he is in the ring or like doing one of those things, the way he holds his hand, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And he just like holds it there and he keeps like, and then when the other one grabs the mic, he's like, you, and I'm like, what the fuck are you even doing? Like, I can't stand it, and it's making me hate him.
I can't hate him.
So now you're probably gonna not be able to unsee that.
Yeah,
now that
that's
I've
true.
mentioned it.
Yeah.
Watch any of those segments when he's in ring or up on the ramp. The way it's like he postures, I can't stand it.
Do you think that this was more because I thought about this after the fact, that this might be less of a big deal that Jay Lethal's coming into the promotion and more of a we're going to do stuff with some Ring of Honor talent coming into the promotion down the line, like maybe more of like a sign of things to come in a sense, because I'm getting that feeling.
It's so tough to say because their roster is so fucking stacked. I mean, you
Right.
look at this card and on paper, this card had like, how do you bring in other people and have fucking room for it unless you have to have like
more factions,
the Kennys and more factions, but you also have to have, but you can't always have like 10, like 5-on-5 fucking, you know, you can't have a ton of those.
Right.
So you kind of have to, it's like, you got to give, Cody's got to go away for a while. Kenny's got to go away for a while. Like there has to like usher in this new thing. Like when they're talking about like the 4 pillars, MJF, Jungle Boy, Darby
and Guevara.
Yeah. And Guevara, like you have to, at a certain point, like raise that. I don't think right now you're fully there, right? But you also have big people like Danielson and CM Punk and things like that that are not going to go away anytime soon, right? So you can't then have these, like, you can't just keep stacking the card. They don't have the hours to fill.
Yeah,
it's art, because like this card was on paper fucking stacked.
I mean, let's talk about like if we're talking about Ring of Honor, who do you bring in? You bring in your boy Brody King, right? Like,
oh, for sure.
Throw him in House of Black or do something like that with him and Black. That's an easy one right there. You can slot him in quite nicely. Danhausen's injured. I'm sure they're going to want to bring him in at some point, but we've got probably a good 6 months for Danhausen before he's going to be out with a tibia and fibia. That's a long recovery.
That X-ray just made me cringe looking at that. I was like,
but did we all see the how he went and tried to get a job interview with Tony Khan?
No.
Yeah, he rode up on his crutches, and of course he instead of going to the AEW, he said I'm at the AEW headquarters. He was at the A&W root beer, the fast food, and he went up to the fast food window. Yes, I'd like a very nice, very evil, would like a meeting with the Tony Khan. Yes. Tell him that the Danhauser would like to talk to him. Like, so, like, I mean, we know that. I mean, they'd be foolish not to bring him in some capacity at some point. So I could see that. Then you got like Dalton Castle. You got who I think you
Matt Taven.
Taven, Briscoes.
All of the righteous. The righteous.
The Briscoes.
Yeah, Briscoes.
You know what's crazy? I was thinking about this too the other day. Because AEW's got such a strong scene in so many other ways, you know what's really suffered is the tag division.
Yeah.
You know, like we've got a lot of more makeshift tag teams than we used to, and a lot of stuff that's like, I don't know. Like, I think there is room if you want to, step up the tag division to have guys like the Briscoes come in.
What's 2.0 doing besides being annoying on BTE?
Yeah, but that's what they do. That's what they're there for. That's,
to not have matches, like fucking have a match.
Sure, they're all over Dark and Elevation or something. Like that's.
Are they?
Sure, they're there.
They're probably there.
But no, I mean, it is a good point for a team that was, when they first came in, on like every episode of everything, like for the first, like, I wouldn't say 2 months almost, like they were all over the product. That's now like the very conspicuous by their absence. But yeah, like I agree with you to an extent. I think if you can slot in like over time. I think you can slot in some of those guys. It's just then even more concerning when you have, your KOs and your Kyle O'Reillys and like the possibility of some of these guys coming in the new year.
Well, but also think about it. Like a lot of these contracts are going to be coming up.
Yeah.
A lot of these talent aren't going to get re-signed.
Yeah.
I don't think Joey Janela is getting re-signed.
He would be one that might be on the list for sure. There's a lot of some of those earlier guys that I would question if it's worth them. Like, I think they made a big mistake early. Like, let's be real. If Tony knew what was coming, would he really have hired Mark Henry and Paul White, right? Like, would he really have hired even your Matt Seidels and some of these guys like that are
right?
Hard to predict that world, but I think Paul White and Mark Henry are both on like 2 or 3 year contracts. So, and I'm sure they're not cheap either.
So you've got, at least what I'm finding on PW Unlimited says Jericho's January 2022, Lance Archer through at least February 2022, JR spring 2022, Joey Janela May 2022. So to your point, Duncan.
A lot of 2022 in there.
Yeah. Yep. FTR July 2022. Tony Schiavone 2-year option comes up on September 2022. Omega 2023. The Young Bucks 2023 or 2024. Cody, MJF, Ethan Page, Andrade are all 2024.
See, we could be seeing. Yeah, we could. We could see a few like bigger names. Like, I know it's controversial, and I, in my heart of hearts, don't think it would ever really happen. But a lot of people have knocked around the idea that maybe Jericho does do one last run, and he would be the guy that maybe does go back to WWE for one last year or so of his career. Like, I wouldn't be terribly shocked. I mean, he's the only person that's had that relationship, right, between AEW and WWE on a very, small format, just with the Stone Cold sessions and all that. So there is some relationship there. He's always said he has a good relationship with Vince. If the money's there and WWE want to give it to him, I think that Jericho might be one of those few that would do it. I think it'd be foolish, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
More importantly, of course, we talked more or less about the main event already, but with Hangman, it's gonna be real interesting. Do we see him having a lengthy title reign? Because part of me thinks this might be real brief.
I think it might be real quick.
I think it might be so too.
I just don't see. I don't know. I think he had more charisma when he was drinking.
Yeah.
Like now he comes across kind of
like a punk
like
ass bitch.
yeah, just and like kind of like a tool, like in his
What
promos
did,
and
what
stuff.
did
Like
they?
it's
What did I hear him described as the anxious millennial cowboy?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like his that cowboy shit promo was good,
I
but
love
like
the cowboy shit promo.
but beyond that, that's where I'm like, I'm like, I don't know the promo. Like I just don't see him as like a huge like
draw.
champion draw. Yeah, like I mean, I know everyone's behind him, but I just don't think like he has the charisma to carry it for a long, long time.
Yeah, that might get stale real quick. And in my heart of hearts, I can't see Brian losing to Hangman. I just can't. Like
I
I
can't either.
not on the run that Brian's on right now.
Especially with the amount of technical wrestling that he's been doing,
Yeah.
and how like strong it's been hitting too.
Yeah.
I don't think the sell is there for Hangman to be
unless there's a huge plan for Brian to do stuff in New Japan, which we know could be a possibility.
Yeah.
And I needed to ask you guys because
And the Bucks could maybe help him win or something.
Something crazy like that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is true. That is true. But yeah, with this new development as well with Chaos and the Best Friends, and
I love this.
So you're gonna have to help me out a little bit with it. I'm somewhat
Okay.
familiar, but not enough to talk eloquently about.
Well, so Chaos is one of the stables in New Japan. Nakamura was in Chaos. Okada is in Chaos.
That I knew, and then of course Ishii, who they just announced,
who they announced is going to be Orange's tag partner.
Who I've always loved, by the way. Like with my limited New Japan experience, what is he? The bull or the
Stone Pitbull?
Yeah.
And dude, he looks like his neck is all fucking shrunk up, and he just looks like a mean son of a bitch. But dude, Chaos. Here's what I'm most looking forward to about Chaos is Toru Yano, who is like the comedy wrestler who's always just like, buy my DVDs.
Okay.
So he's that guy. He is also in Chaos. So the interactions that he and Orange and Okada could all have together is just comedic wrestling gold. And I really can't wait for some of this shit.
And we're gonna see some stuff with Okada. I think that door is pretty open. That we're, Tony Khan hinted on the media scrum. He's like, hey, I'm surprised none of you guys have like asked about the Forbidden Door and all that. Like,
you saw him. Did you see him come out in the ring after like Rampage went off the air? Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Like that whole like there was a whole thing where he like came out into the ring and he's talking. He's like, yeah, I think it'd be great if Chaos, if you guys had like one or two more people come in. And then he's like, it's probably not who you think it is, but it probably could be. He said something like to that effect. I was like, oh, did you just basically give it away?
It's not who it is, but it is who it is.
Right,
so.
right. And what they could do with that obviously is tremendous. Another couple quick things that he said in that media scrum were that someone asked about the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament thing that they're going to be doing with the blessing of was it
Martha?
Martha, thank you. So he's like, yeah, I don't want to really talk about that too much right now because I got to put my promoter hat on and I want to be able to do that, on TV. But he's like, it will be a tournament, but it's not what you're thinking of in terms of a traditional tournament. Instantly, my mind goes to G1 round robin style, something along those lines, where you could
block, B block,
and then you could bring in people like make that AEW's G1, bring people in from all from over. Ring of Honor that have been released, people from Impact, people from New Japan, whatever you want to do in that regard. That could be a great way to debut people as well, like without really giving a true reason. This person's not necessarily in the company. This person's like kind of on that. He talks about like their tiered contracts. They're like first, second, third tier we bringing him in on a trial first tier contract or whatever it is. perfect way to do that with a bunch of people. So I think that's something that's going to be really, really exciting, because I think they would be smart to use that as a tool to like not give all the chips away, but also say, hey, there's going to be a lot of like, there's going to be surprise debuts, but we're telling you there's going to be surprise debuts. We're just not going to tell you who, right? Like something along those lines. So yeah, that was another small takeaway from that. Do we want to just really quickly do the whole 4 matches that have been announced predictions wise for Survivor Series?
I don't know if we're gonna have time.
Woo! It is. Oh wow, what a blockbuster card this is. Hey, shit. I couldn't care really about a single match on this. I think this goes to what Survivor Series used to be a big deal. Survivor Series used to kind of be fun, especially when it wasn't just brand warfare, right? Like when you had faction versus faction, like that was a much more entertaining prospect when it came to Survivor Series. Now we just have red brand, blue brand men's, red blue women's. Then women's champ.
It's so boring.
It's so boring.
Yeah.
That's
and they always wear like the generic like SmackDown shirts. Yeah.
We'll start with the men's 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series elimination match. Seth, Finn, KO, Mysterio, and Bobby Lashley on Raw versus Drew, King Woods, Jeff Hardy, Sami Zayn, and Happy Corbin for SmackDown.
Did Sami Zayn not get? Why is it a TBA on my?
Oh, it might. Did something happen with that? That shows you how excited I have been.
Yeah, I feel like Sami Zayn also.
You're right. There was something about that. Maybe he got back in because he's. Maybe something happened where he got back in that I have not seen. Wait, hang on.
I don't know.
Zayn was defeated by Hardy 1-on-1. He was swiftly removed from the team. Okay, so he will. Why does it say that he's still on it? Stupid WWE.com. So yeah, who will replace the master strategist? So we don't know. Yeah.
Right.
You are correct. So Zayn.
So it's Drew, currently Hardy, Woods, Corbin, and TBA.
But then so it's ridiculous how they like have done this now on both sides just for reasons, and then also with the women they did it like, oh, we're just gonna remove people and you got to compete, and then okay, that's cool storytelling.
I guess that's cool.
Well, let's see here. I'm gonna go with the Raw team. I'm gonna go men's Raw.
I'm going men's Raw too.
I can't. Well, we're all going men's Raw because, god damn it.
No, this one is a who cares. So we'll
it's a throwaway predictions, really.
Yeah, pretty much men's Raw across the board. And let me write these down. And then we might as well go to the women's. Women's, as we said earlier, has all right, so we're missing one on the team SmackDown.
Yep. But
Raw consists of Belair, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Carmella, and Zelina Vega. Yeah. Oh, awesome.
SmackDown.
Yeah, SmackDown, Sasha Banks, Shayna Baszler, Shotzi Blackheart, Natalya, and the TBA. I'm going. Oh wait, I'm not used to being the champ.
Yeah. I guess it's you technically, Matthew. I mean, not that it really matters.
I went SmackDown.
You're going SmackDown, women's SmackDown?
Yeah.
Damn it, I was gonna do the same. I am gonna do the same.
Yeah. I am gonna do the same as well.
Oh, this is gonna be a fucking riveting one.
Well,
they haven't given us a lot,
WWE
bro.
Pay-per-view.
They haven't given us a lot here. Then it comes to Big E versus Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns, yeah.
Roman Reigns. It's got to be Roman Reigns. Like, I love Big E.
Yeah, me too.
But Roman's gonna win,
happen.
Yeah.
And then it's Charlotte Becky.
Becky.
God damn it! I was gonna do.
I mean, fuck, I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, there's. You know what? No, I'm gonna go Charlotte, just to give myself a chance. Matthew, you're gonna go Becky. I think like either way you would win.
Oh man.
Either way, you're winning. You could pick either or, and you will win.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
It's true. I'll go Becky.
All right, and just, I'm gonna pull. What is it? A mulligan? Can I pull a mulligan and change one of my previous?
Yeah.
Why not? Biggie.
All right.
Just to make it interesting. Just to make it interesting in the sense that, like,
I want Big E to win.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, fuck it. Why not?
Why not, really? Because otherwise, if you tie, you automatically win. So at least,
Yeah.
I might stand a chance of getting a fucking sneak roll up victory here. But
True.
I'm not proud of it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not proud of it.
I'm not proud of it.
I'm not happy about it at all. Oh yeah, well, what a riveting prediction segment. It's just goes to show.
the big 4 matches that they gave us to work with.
Yeah.
Dude, I miss the time where it would be like, all right, we got 4 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches and then like 2 singles matches.
Yeah. I mean,
what happened to those?
And like I said, they were usually with like factions. They weren't like had like some reason to be in a beef against each other, and they would recruit people, and like they would actually use it as a storytelling device rather than just put people in
a match.
Yeah, in a match.
The one night a year, quote unquote.
And I'm
sure Raw and SmackDown.
And I'm sure which is also complete bullshit too, because
shit.
Yeah, we got Royal Rumble. They usually like there's some interaction between like people from Raw and SmackDown. And you've got obviously always at Mania you got something that usually happens in that regard. I'm guessing that they're gonna add Damian Priest, Shinsuke Nakamura, which okay. I looked at the thing. There's a fact that came out about Shinsuke the other day as the IC champion. He's had it since on this reign. So it was like 90 something days. I think he's defended it like 3 times. Like,
really?
Yeah, it's some yeah.
He's too busy surfing.
He doesn't care, and they've forgotten about him.
He does not give a fuck.
They'll probably also add men's SmackDown and Raw tag team titles, so RK Bro versus Usos,
which might actually be an okay match. Like that could actually be all right. We can't predict them because they're not official, so that is just the way it is. That's the way that we play. Let me see here. Oh shit, there might have been some people asking questions on the thing. It's all right.
On Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, this was funny. This is just in response to Full Gear last night. This guy William, he's like, amazing show. My only 2 complaints are you could hear damn near hear anytime they were calling spots, especially Jericho saying it was time to go. Yeah, we definitely talked about that. But then second, and I did catch this, whoever was screaming every 5 minutes should be banned from all AEW events because goddamn, if you go back and watch it, anytime there's a huge like high spot, anytime that there's it sounds like a chick in the crowd going, yeah! Like it's just one of those like was it
the same person that was at Jacksonville with us?
It might have been. But yeah, it was one of those. It was just like, okay, like it adds to the drama the first time or two it happens on a big spot. You do like on the replay, you hear the But yeah, it was a little bit over the top if you ask me.